10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hello,
What's
welcome
up?
to Your Brain on God. This is episode 20, Aaron.
20. Venti. Starbucks.
The average podcast gets to 10 episodes before it stops, and we are now at 20, so we have become double average.
MVPs.
Thank you for being
All-stars.
with us on the journey.
Yeah, thanks for being here for 20 episodes. Come on, man.
Come on.
I wish I had a balloon.
A balloon for each and every one of us.
for each
So, Aaron, today we are having a conversation on the beauty and the mundane.
Absolutely.
We hope that in this conversation, you're able to glean from something, be encouraged, and feel empowered to take advantage of the beauty that's in every moment. We talk about the difficulty it can be sometimes to find the beautiful things in the moments because they become so normal to us. So we want to rewire our brains, get into the habit of seeing and appreciating the beauty, the moments that we have to participate in what's happening around us and not overlook or not become ungrateful, but to really, truly see the beauty in every moment that there is.
It's going to be dope. Let's get into it. Yep.
I started listening to this TED Talk this morning. I only listened like the first couple minutes, but the guy quoted Helen Keller about seeing beauty in the months. Seeing the magnificent in the mundane is what he was saying. And she was saying, true beauty can't be seen. It's good, Aaron. It's good, though. True beauty can't be seen or touched. It has to be felt. Which, you know, is fair, because that's the only way she's learned to appreciate beauty.
You're telling me Helen Keller said that true beauty can't be seen?
She did. Yeah. And she would know.
She would know. Yeah. Yeah. She would know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, welcome. Okay. Welcome to the potty.
Oh my gosh.
Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to Your Brain on God. That wasn't as climactic as I thought it was going to be.
Sorry, I joined a little late. I didn't know if you're going to go there
Yeah.
or if you're just going to say it.
Yeah.
Try again.
Let's try it again. Okay. Welcome. All right. Here we go. It's Aaron and Darryl presents Your Brain on God. My goodness, all of my boggies
All
out
right,
there.
all
I
of
hope
our
you've
boggies.
enjoyed that little tidbit on Helen Keller.
She has some very good things to say. It might seem ironic, but she
Listen,
has a lot of wisdom. Sure.
I think Helen Keller is great. Okay, I've never read her work. And nor do I know how she wrote her work or how she did anything, really. I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh. Jeez.
And I appreciate that. I don't know
I
how
apologize to anyone who's offended. All the Helen Keller fans out there. I'm with you. I stand with you.
Dude, we just want to stand. What is it called when you stand with somebody?
What do you mean?
Stand in solidarity.
Stand in solidarity.
Stand in solidarity with the Helen Keller fans out there, the old Kellers out there, who value her work, and and I think I do too. I don't think I know much about Helen Keller, but I think she was right in saying that true beauty can't be seen because or heard apparently, but.
I'm curious as to her experience of beauty. I wonder what it was like. You know, the things that she came to find and call beautiful. She would speak through like interpreters who would like, she would use sign language, and they would feel her hands and she would feel their hands.
Yeah, that's crazy to me because
that's what I heard.
Okay, she was born blind and deaf.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you even know anything. What I'm saying is like, okay, you have to learn by I either see a table or like if I just felt this and never knew what it was, I wouldn't really know what it was for. Or how could someone tell me it was a table or show me that it was a table or whatever? Like, how do you communicate somebody who knows language to somebody who didn't? It doesn't even make sense.
It's like, yeah, I mean, our whole life, we're just learning, we learn based on the senses that we have available. And so if she doesn't have those senses available, she learns other ways. Just because that's how the brain works.
But she would never know that an orange was an orange, right?
She would know
the flavor of a certain fruit. She knows that it's food of some kind, but she wouldn't even have language for the word food.
Yeah.
How do you get language for the word food?
If you don't speak, there's some way to communicate. There's people who don't use words, but you still communicate with something. It's just like...
I know, but she couldn't use words to hear or sights to see.
Yeah.
So how do you teach someone taste? Like how to?
Well, she could taste things.
No, I mean,
she could have a flavor and recognize that it's coming from the same place.
My little sister has a sticker on her water bottle that says Helen Keller is a myth.
Oh, I forgot about that. But I did know that
because she's just so confused about. I don't know. I think my older sister made it for her. But she's so confused how Helen Keller actually it doesn't make sense. And I think I've tried to look it up, but it just doesn't make sense how she learned. I'm just so confused by it.
It's like you only learn the way you learn because that's the way you've learned to learn.
That was profound.
If you learned to learn another way, you would learn other things differently. She would have to take what's available to her. And I think that's why her story is so inspiring to so many people, and why it's so profound is because given the limitations compared to what other people have,
right,
she's been able to still learn and overcome and perceive and to grow and to achieve and to inspire so many people.
Right.
I think I don't remember exactly what she said, but I remember talking about vision and leadership, how a leader needs that vision, and how she was saying that she with stories and things that she knew that she can see further than anybody else, even though she's blind. Not anybody else, but some people she can see more than other people.
Right.
Talking about the concept of being able to see past what is in front of us because she doesn't have sight.
Right.
She's not limited to what she sees in front of her.
Right.
Where people can see a situation with their eyes or see something in front of them and they limit themselves to that.
Right. We get caught up in what we see a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So I feel like in a way that would be a benefit. I'm not, saying it's better than sight, but
right. But it
is, yeah,
changes things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know exactly all the, what she did to continue to learn and grow, but I know that she learned how to communicate because we just learned how to communicate. I'm not sure what that was in the beginning.
Right.
Or if it took more time or what that was like. But she learned how to communicate, and through communication, she learned things, and she would, it's interesting.
It's so
I
weird.
haven't read much of her story, but I read bits and pieces here and there.
I mean, yeah, it would make sense to me, I guess, if she wasn't born both of those things, but she was born blind and deaf. So It's like being born blind, deaf, and only being able to feel vibrations, or you have when you're born, you don't have you wouldn't have any concept of what anything is. Those are, I feel like, our two main senses.
She would have no concept of what, she wouldn't know compared to what we know, how we see things and hear things.
Totally.
That was never, we're judging her based on our reality. Her reality was different.
Yeah, I guess I just don't get it. That's crazy. That's just wild.
I don't know. It would have been different for sure.
Helen Keller, folks.
Helen Keller.
God bless you. But she wrote books. How was that? Okay, this is what I'm saying. If you don't have a concept of something, how do you translate your concept of something that wouldn't really relate to somebody who does have sight and sound?
Well, she communicated still to people.
What if those translators just took whatever she said and just made it their own thing?
And said it was her?
Yeah, how would she know?
I don't know. I guess you just have to trust them.
Yeah. No one could tell her.
No, nobody could tell her.
Dude.
They could tell her. Well, they could tell her whatever it says because she could communicate.
I know, but she doesn't have a concept of that. Never mind.
She wouldn't know what it meant to look at a book and read the words on the page.
Yeah, to read a book, or like, this is what we said. We talked about how, you can have like resilience in, in everything that you go. I guess that's more, but like concrete things, you know what I mean? It's like, I went to the house. Like, how would she even know house?
Well, she knows what a house is.
Well, she knows that she maybe lives in a certain space, but what's going on in her mind? Like, how does she think? If you never heard words, what do you think about? Like, if you never, like, because you're never able to learn like a language, like, how do you think? If you don't have sight, you're not thinking in like pictures.
Well, we just learned to communicate with words, for concepts to be communicated through sounds that we make. Right. So she would learn how to communicate concepts other ways.
Dude, one day when we get to heaven, I'm going to see Helen Keller. She'll be able to see and hear. And she can tell me. She can tell me how she did it. Because she is awesome. I really apologize for anybody who got offended by that. I really apologize.
It's pretty amazing though. And it makes you like, it makes me think of how much I neglect the things that I have in front of me to see. Mm-hmm. Just my ability to see. I think you talked about this. I don't know if it was on the podcast or not, but how you were thinking about just the fact that we can see things.
Right.
It's like the fact that we can see things is something that we can so easily take for granted.
Oh, easily take for granted. Yeah.
And even hearing things and sounds. And
you ever hear that phrase like youth is wasted on the young?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My dad used to say that to me all the time. And when I was young, I was like, whatever. But then like going back, it's like, you have youth, you have strength. I think in Proverbs it says like the glory of the young is their strength.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we have all of this strength or whatever, and then most often we don't have like the wisdom to actually use that strength in proper ways or build, or like with all of the energy and the strength that we do have to go after things that are like worthwhile and meaningful. We can get caught up in certain things and we can kind of just like waste our youth. Youth is wasted on the young. It's the same thing with like when you have something, like you don't take the full advantage of it, right?
Yeah.
And I have my full strength and I'm able to, to move and to operate and, I'm able to do a lot of things being young. I'm only 26, sometimes I don't take full advantage of it or, whatever. And it's the same thing with sight. It's like we're able to see, but so often we miss beautiful things.
Yeah.
What a tragedy,
Yep.
What a tragedy that we can literally have sight and miss beautiful things in front of us.
Right.
And that's like, in a way, it's like, it can be worse, and I think Jesus kind of talks to it. He's like, I came to give sight to the blind and make those who think they see blind.
Yeah. Mm-hmm,
right.
Mm-hmm.
But there's like this aspect of it's like one thing to not be able to see. And then it's a whole nother thing to be able to see, but not see. Right?
Yeah.
And to not take advantage of that. And that's kind of what we want to talk about in today's podcast is finding the beauty in the mundane, which is basically, and really because no moment in a way has to be mundane. You know what I mean? Because there's beauty in every moment, or there can be beauty in every moment. Nothing has to have this like, this boring, mentality, or this like, nothing's happening or nothing's there. Right? It really is our perspective, and I think that's something crucial that even God has for us is that we have been given so many gifts. Right? We have been given, most of us, the ability to hear, the ability to see, the ability to be like present in a place or to have relationships, to have a house, all these things. To wake up in the morning is like, it's a gift.
Yeah, right.
And so often we have these gifts right in front of us and we fail to open them up, or we fail to see them as how beautiful they are because we get caught up in God knows what, right? Mm-hmm. And it's important for us to get in our mind with Jesus the ability to find beauty in all of the seemingly mundane things around us.
Yeah.
Right? And because it makes life more full, like, yeah, it just makes life more full.
It does. Totally. And it's part of even just recognizing the fullness of life, that life is full.
Right.
When we start looking for those things and appreciating and And we talk a lot about presence, and I think the more that we can be present, the more that we can see those things that we often overlook and neglect. Like every day the sun rises and sets. You know, it's like every single morning there's a sunrise, every single evening there's a sunset. And anytime we stop to look at it and just watch, it's like we become amazed. You know, it's like, but there's so many days where I pay no attention at all to what the sunset looks like. Right. And there are certain times where it does catch my eye, and I stop. I'm like, wow, this is glorious. This is magnificent. This is beautiful. Right. But it's kind of a mundane thing in the sense that, well, it happens every day. You know, it's like a regular occurrence, and it's not the same every time, but the fact that it's happening, and I just get used to it happening, and I stop paying attention to it, and then every once in a while I'll stop and I'll look and I'll be amazed. Right. But how many times does that happen, and with other things as well? You know, with waking up in the morning with my wife, and I've only been married for almost less than a year, but that just waking up next to her, I want that to always be something that fills me with joy. You know, always something that I'm like, wow, God, thank you so much. And the marriages that I have looked up to and see, and the ones I've been long lasting, and that both the people in the relationship are happy and excited and love each other, you know. It's always the little things that they talk about. And it's something that I noticed before I got married, but now, especially since being married, people often kind of share like, oh, make sure to every day just appreciate each other. Every day, it's the little things that matter. Right. And the beauty in those moments of saying goodbye in the morning, giving her a kiss on the forehead, or having breakfast together. There can be such beauty and things to be grateful for in those little things. Right. But it can be easy to not pay attention or not be present. Really, I think it's not being present in that moment and trying to get to the next thing, and then missing out on the beauty of the moment. Right.
And I think that's a big problem is in life. Most of what I remember is the big moments in life. Right? Like the big moments where my sister gets married, or the big moments where I started a new job, or I started a new, relationship, or, there's like a freshness in these big moments, or I went to a big concert, or, we had this big party on New Year's, or whatever it is, or amazing, incredible encounter at church. And most of what we remember, and oftentimes we're waiting to get to that next big thing, like these movie moments,
Yeah.
And then the people that quote unquote make it or whatever, they're like, my life is a movie. It's like every day my life is a movie, it's like scene by scene my life is a movie. Have you ever heard that?
Like a song or something? Yeah.
What they're trying to say is like, basically, I heard a song by Drake the other day. He's like, I made my birthday into every day. Live every day like it's my birthday.
Oh my gosh.
But it's because what we want to do is we want to live out these lavish moments, right? These huge, big parties, celebration, I guess catalyst moments, maybe that's the wrong word, like when you graduate college, it's like a foundational moment, in your life. And we want to get to these big moments because we're trying to find satisfaction in these moments, but really 90% of our lives is in the seemingly day-to-day mundane things.
Yeah, right.
That's 90% of our lives are going to be waking up and pulling up my pants and going to the bathroom, taking a shower, going to work. Going to work, getting stuff done, but I can't afford, even in that 90%, I can't afford to live a life that's like, well, it's the same crap, just a different day,
Right. Oh no.
Because it's a hopeless mentality, because if we allow our happiness to come from 10% of our lives, that means 90% of our lives is going to be boring, mundane, just getting through to get to the 10%. And that means most of our life is kind of crappy, right?
Yeah. And for 1/3 of our life, we're just sleeping. So
yes.
90% of the time we're awake.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess if your mentality is like, I want to make every day like a movie or my birthday, I guess that's cool if that gives you a mindset.
It could be an inspiring factor to make something big
I mean,
happen.
they're usually talking about like partying and like doing stuff that's not cool. But anyway, but yeah, there's this beautiful, I guess, access into the enjoyment of what we have now. And again, that does come back to being present, but just rejoicing with the things that you get to do in a day. Like waking up next to your wife, or for me, I'm not waking up to my girlfriend, but like waking up and getting to text her, even, or like call her and talk to her, you know what I mean? Or get to like go into work and see these amazing people that I work with. Or getting to know. For me, I'm really grateful because I believe my career path actually has like purpose. Like everything I'm pouring into is for like the next generation coming up. And when you start to see that vision, there's a beautiful thankfulness that comes, a rejoicing in these seemingly day-to-day things, and it does come down to sometimes, not appreciating what you do have in the moment, and then when you don't have it, like it's gone,
right,
right. And most of those couples, like you said, the things that they do remember, or the things that have kept them together, have been the little things. Right.
Yeah.
It hasn't been the huge moments when they had kids, or all that's important, that when they have kids or their kids get married or whatever. It's been like the little day-to-day, like saying I love you, seeing you, going on a walk, that kind of stuff, those little things, and it's appreciating those little things. Like I remember it's been like 4 years now, I tore my meniscus, and I tore my meniscus in the stupidest way ever. It was during the cha-cha slide.
I forgot about that. I forgot that's how it happened.
I literally tore my meniscus during the cha-cha slide. Okay,
You're going hard.
Yeah, I was going hard. He literally was saying, "How low can you go?" And I found out.
Was it really during that part of the song? It
was during that part of the song. He said, "How low can you go? Can you go real low?" And I'm going low, and then next thing I'm like really low, and my knee just pops, dude.
I can't bring it to the top. I can't bring it to the top like it never stops.
Like I'll never stop. But I tore my meniscus during the cha-cha slide, man.
Jeez.
There's not a more embarrassing story. That's amazing. Anyway, so I tore my meniscus during the cha-cha slide. And before I tore my meniscus, I worked at Starbucks. I feel like I talk about Starbucks a lot. It just has a lot of stories from Starbucks. And my favorite thing to do at Starbucks was to clean out the fridges. And this is also something, I'm going on so many tangents right now, because there's so many little things in life that just make me happy, okay?
Yeah,
getting gunk out of things makes me so happy.
What is it? Is it
It's like the act of like cleaning something up that's like been there for a long time. Sometimes it's almost better to like leave things dirty for a little longer, so it's even more satisfying when you clean it,
It sounds like it could be a problem.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, it could be.
Clean it up, not clean it up, but the need for the mess.
the need. Yeah, maybe it's an unhealthy dynamic. Anyway, but okay, so like for some reason our tub here at the apartment, at the condo, it has these little holes in the bottom of it. I think it's for grip, so you don't slip in the tub. But those holes get like dirt in them. And so our tub gets filthy. But when you clean a filthy tub and get all the dirt out, it is like, it's so satisfying.
It's satisfying.
It's so satisfying because there's so much beauty in the little things. Anyway, but I would love cleaning out the milk fridges, okay? One, because it was like almost therapeutic, right? You like take the milk out, you like put it on the counter. There's all of this like milk gunk or whatever, dairy, like on the grates. And so you get to clean it off. And it was just like this beautiful thing. But what I loved about it the most is the fact that I could kneel down. And it like that I could squat. And it like I was so thankful for the ability that I could squat, like the fact that my knees were able to hold that, because when I was in high school I had knee issues.
Okay.
And so I was so grateful. I'm like, oh, it doesn't cause any pain. Like there was like this gratefulness that I didn't have pain when I kneeled, when I squatted, when I was clean, and I would just like be clean this. I was like, oh, I'm so grateful that I can squat, right? Yeah. And then I tore my meniscus, And I realized even more how grateful I was that I could squat, because I couldn't squat anymore.
Dang.
Because my meniscus was torn, right? 3 years later, it took a while to heal because I didn't get surgery. It took a while to heal. Actually, surgery sometimes ruins it more. But now I can do that again. I can squat without any pain. And it is like the most beautiful thing ever. That I can squat and there's no pain in my knees. And it's just like this amazing like thankfulness for just like finding beauty in something so it's seemingly simple.
Right.
You know?
Super simple.
It's just the fact that my body works in this arena.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm just like, oh, it's so nice to squat. Sometimes I'll literally just squat because it feels good. Because I because I'm like, yes,
you just take a squat. Yes,
I can still squat, you know, like, but there's a joy that comes. It makes me all bubbly. There's a joy that comes when you appreciate those little things before, you know, you don't have them, you know, and unfortunately we wait often until something like that is gone, something in our health or something, you know, a person that we have in our lives or that job that we had, we don't appreciate those things until they're gone. And then, yeah, you know, but that's an age-old adage, you know?
Yeah, we don't appreciate things until we've lost it.
Yeah, don't know what you have until it's gone.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that we, you know, when it comes to being grateful and gratitude, I think that helps us see the beauty in moments. You know, being grateful is part of the steps that it takes to see and appreciate the beautiful things.
Right.
Because whenever we are just looking at the same thing, and if we're not grateful for it, we're probably not going to see and start appreciating what's actually there, you know? But when we take the time to stop and just to say, thank you, like, thank you, God, for this person or for this thing. And then we go down that trail of gratitude, but then we start seeing things that maybe we didn't see before.
Right.
You know, I had so many times with like nature. I would love being out in nature. Love being out in nature and looking at landscapes so I grew up in the Temecula, Marietta Valley area, and we have hills everywhere. And you know, these hills with like rocks in them and stuff. And I don't know, just grew up in the valley, and I was always around here. It became very like background. You know, it was like just the normal backdrop.
Right.
And I moved away out of the country for 5.5 years, and I was gone before I came back once to visit. I was already gone for like 3 years. So I'd been gone for 3 years, and then I came back. And when I came back, I was like, oh my word, this is so beautiful.
Were there no mountains in Australia?
No, there was not really. Where I was, a lot of flat. There were hills, like smaller hills.
Right.
The biggest mountain, called the Blue Mountains, was more of like a gradual slope. It's like a very, very long gradual slope. And one of my friends, he was from Florida. We were on our bus, taking like a bus trip up to the Blue Mountains, and there were some hills in the background. He's like, "Oh my gosh, are those mountains?" Because he's never seen mountains before.
Whoa.
He never saw mountains in person because everywhere he would live was just flat. And so I started appreciating the beauty of having the hills around. And so when I came back to Marietta, Temecula, and visited after 3 years, the hills and the mountains just amazed me.
Right.
And I thought they were so beautiful. And the way that the colors looked, and like when they had the big boulders coming out of like the green bushes and stuff. And it was just, I was captivated by it. And everywhere we drove, I just was like staring at the hills and the mountains, you know?
Wow.
And before, I was like, how did I not notice how beautiful it is here? And it's like I was surrounded by it, but it was mundane to me. No, it was like the normal, and those hills and like the landscape. It was so beautiful, and that happens, I think, you know, in our relationships with like siblings or friends or our parents or maybe our kids or nieces, nephews, and it's not until I stop and notice that I can finally start appreciating some things that I had just taken for granted. You know, I thought that it was just normal to me, but some things are just so beautiful, so beautiful, but we're around it all the time. So we like become not numb to it, but sort of, it becomes the background. Right. Oh my gosh. I just had a thought. So last night I was hanging out with Luke, my brother-in-law, and he showed me this thing that came up on like his I feel like such an old man. What's that app called? TikTok.
Dude.
It's like not Snapchat, not Instagram. It was on his TikTok. I think it was on his TikTok, and it was this image, and it was this image with like lines on it, and it was like a grid, and there are these dots at the cross points in the grid, but your brain can't see all the dots at the same time. There were like 12 dots there, but you pretty much could only see one, the one that you were looking at. And because of the way the colors worked and the lighting, you couldn't actually see the other dots. It was like they disappeared. Like you knew it was there in your peripheral vision, but you literally couldn't see it. Then you look at it and it would appear. Like this black dot would appear. Then you look somewhere else and the black dot would appear and the other one would disappear. And it was like trippy, right? But it's kind of like that. It's like we only have so much capacity to take in things.
Right.
We only have so much capacity to be aware and to acknowledge things. And I wonder how many times we're missing the beauty because we're looking at something else.
Right.
And we're looking for the things that aren't beautiful. We're looking for the things that we think are issues. Or we're looking at the things that frustrate us, or the things that we think need to be better, or the things that we find as problems.
Right.
And we don't even have the capacity to take in the beautiful things. Because we're so distracted and focused on the things that we think need to be better.
Right.
But if we were to look away and we can see the beauty. But when we focus on all the things that are issues and problems, it is actually impossible for our brain to be aware of them.
Right.
It's like I don't know. It's just so crazy.
Yeah.
But I think that happens so often in relationships. That's like I think that something that comes up often is people have issues with somebody because all they do is focus on the things that they don't like about the person.
Right.
And they don't take the time to become aware of the good things in them.
Right.
Or they just forget that they're there because they are so focused on the negative things.
Right. It's crazy how much your focus changes things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The mind is so powerful. The mind is so powerful because it's like your problems can just go away. Seemingly, you know what I mean? Like there's definitely things that are like big deals in our lives, but a lot of it is what we focus on, our mindset, our perspective about things.
Yeah.
Because it's like the relational issues that you have with somebody, you like change your thought about like how you're viewing them, how you're seeing them, what you're focusing on, and it's like this person's awesome.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
Yeah.
They didn't change. That's what I've been realizing is most of the things in my life, they do not change. I do. Right?
Yeah.
The way that I see them changes. The way that I perceive them and interact with the circumstances, situations, people, mundane things in my life. None of that changes. I'm still waking up every day of every week going to the church. Going to the church, getting my stuff done. Mondays are my office days. Tuesdays are the youth days. Wednesdays are the youth days. I'm back in the office on Thursdays. I'm at weekend services Saturday and Sunday.
Right.
And that's pretty much my week every single week.
Yeah. Same thing.
Same thing.
Over and over again.
Over and over again, right? So that's probably not going to change. I'm still going to have the office days besides little variants and stuff, and I can be creative with it and I can make the most of it, right? But I change when I wake up and I say, God, what do you have for me? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How can I find beauty even in this? Rejoicing when I wake up and being like, another day. You know what I mean? Another day to see things differently, right? And I remember I was talking to my dad about this. We were on a hike, and we were talking about how you can just see things differently, because he had said something to me, and it wasn't like out of whatever. He just said like, oh, I'm just doing the same thing, nothing's really changed or whatever. And I was like, oh, but you could see it differently. Like, there's always something new to see, and we were on the hike and I was like excited about all these things. My dad's like, why are you excited? I was like, yeah, you could do that with your life, Dad. You know what I mean? Like you could, like, not that he doesn't do that with his life, but you know what I mean? Like, I was like, yeah, we could just see things differently. Like it's not the same day. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, yeah, I might be doing the same things. I might be seeing the same people, week in and week out. But I can change to be able to see the beauty that these people, this circumstance, this situation has to offer. And when I open my eyes up to see that, it changes, right?
Yeah.
And then when I'm feeding on that or whatever, and that's taking up my mental space, it actually protects me from focusing on the other things, right? From focusing on what's not working or what could be distracting. Because I mean, we could all be looking at the same sunset and be like, whatever, it's just another sunset. Or we could be like, oh my gosh, another sunset. You know, those are two very different ways of viewing that sunset, you know, of viewing something that happens every single day, right? It's like, it's just, it really is like, it's a game changer, you know? It's a game changer when you start opening yourself up to see beauty in every situation. It's just huge, you know? In the simple things, doing laundry. Like when I was a kid, this was actually easy, you know? It was a lot easier. I had the most fun cleaning our bird cage. I don't know why. I actually wrote an entire story in 4th grade on how fun it was to clean our bird cage. Because I would pretend I was just imaginative, and I would pretend that the vacuum, like I was a CIA agent or whatever, and I was getting in there to clean all of the stuff off. Like I loved, you know what I mean? And it was like a chore that I had to do, you know, every 2 weeks or whatever to clean under the bird cage. And it's not like it's a fun chore to clean up all this mess that's all over the place, right? But I was just having fun with it. Like I had to have fun with it.
Yeah,
you know,
but
totally. It's like that kind of stuff that you can make fun, that you can see in a different way, that you can do in a different way, that you could be imaginative with, right?
Yeah.
That you can actually add that into it, and it changes how you clean the kitchen. You know what I mean? Or how you clean your house, or how you have an interaction, or have coffee with somebody, or have a meeting at work. You know, it changes everything.
Yeah,
yeah, it's huge.
I would always look at the bark in trees and be amazed. Like walk up to a tree and I'll be looking at the bark, and I start thinking about how intricate it is and how unique it is, and that it's cracked uniquely. There's no other tree in the world that is like this tree. Like every single tree has a unique pattern in its bark because of the way it's been cracking, the way that it's grown.
Right.
And there's something beautiful to me about that, about the uniqueness of it, and thinking about how creative God is, and that there's these things set in place that make things come out in unique ways, and that no one thing is the same. Right. And how that's like with people, no one person is the same. You know, even if we have similar stories, so many things that differ, that make our stories unique, are partly of what make the beautiful tapestry of life. You know, and of humanity, all of these different stories and people who are coming from different places. And it makes me want to discover people more too. Right. You know, when I think about those things, I'm like, I want to know someone's story a little bit more. I want to know how we all fit together in life. You know, it's like, it's those little moments and those little questions, the questions that we ask determine our quality of life, the things that we focus on in life. Right. And I think that we can probably ask better questions more often. Right. Of life. Like, just to appreciate things. Like, what are the things that I'm missing? What are the things that I am overlooking? You know, what are the beautiful things in my life that I'm overlooking? Right. And if I were to ask myself that every day, I wonder how many things I would start noticing. Right. You know, and throughout the day, how many things would I start noticing? If I were to ask, what beauty am I overlooking? Right. You know, and I think that would help change our mindset, because then we start looking for beauty. We start to look for the beauty in the mundane when we ask that question.
You always get what you're looking for.
Yeah, we always get what we're looking for. Right. And if we ask those questions, I think we'll see them more often, especially whenever we do feel like our life is getting tired or mundane or repetitive. To ask that, what's the beauty I'm overlooking? Because there's always something. Right. There's always something, because we can't take everything in. You know, we can't take in all there is to take in.
Do you think it's easier to just think that way? Is that why we choose to just kind of like go through life? Because I think it does. It takes a mental, emotional energy. Sometimes it takes work to see that way. You know, it's not like I feel like negativity can come. I don't want to say it comes naturally, maybe, but it can be a lot easier. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. To just like wake up, because I don't have to put any effort into being tired. You know, what I do have to put effort in is like putting on like an enthusiasm inside me, you know what I mean? Or a different perspective, or a way, you know, a way of looking at things. Like, it actually takes an effort. It's not some, you know, just like carefree, you know, whoa, you know, like everything like that. It actually takes an effort to put on joy, you know what I mean? To rejoice always. It actually takes an action to see things that way, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, I think we can keep ourselves from a lot of that beauty, because it's more difficult to see beauty in things, maybe, you know? Or again, we talk about this a lot, you know, we've been hurt by beauty. So it's like, why even see the beauty anymore? Everything's gray, you know, everything's gray. So why do you think that is? Do you think that's along the same lines?
I think that, if we were to leave our perspective on life up to our experience in life, then it could go in a very bad place.
Right.
Because if we have a bad experience, and then if we let that be the thing that shapes the rest of our experiences, we're going to keep seeing bad things, right? We'll start expecting bad things, and we're going to want to protect ourselves from those things. We're going to want to anticipate those things. So we start anticipating those things. We start looking for those things, and we start finding those things, the bad experiences.
Right.
I think that if somebody lived a life where they had never experienced anything bad, then they probably would have more of a positive natural outlook.
Right,
you know?
right.
Because that's all they've experienced was good things. So they look for good things, they anticipate good things, and they find good things.
Right.
And I think that's not true of anybody's experience of life.
No, yeah. There's some people that have a pretty good hand.
Yeah,
I've met some people that it's like, well, at least it seems like you have a pretty good hand. They like have an amazing family, and they're like just chilling, like they have like no mental problems. I'm like, well, okay, wow, you're actually
kind of interesting.
Yeah. I'm like, wow, you're cool. Yeah,
and you know, I think that there are times, and they may have had their issues look different to them. You know, their problems would probably look different to my problems.
Right.
But I think that we can, you know, Caroline Leaf talks about transforming your brain and rewiring your brain.
Right.
You know, and how when we have certain thoughts, we develop patterns of thinking. And those patterns of thinking are literally changing our brain, like physically, neurologically, they're making changes in our brain. So when we continue to practice thinking a certain way, whether it's intentionally or unintentionally, those neural pathways get stronger. They get stronger and they get stronger. And those connections that we are making, those synapses, and the way it's like, I think she describes it to like, it starts off like a field, you know, and then you go on the field long enough in the same path, you start creating a little pathway, and it gets more easier to travel. It starts getting wider. Eventually you might have a full road, you know, that's there in that field where there was nothing before. And then you start, the more you're traveling on that pathway, the bigger it's getting, and the more solidified it's getting. You're having concrete or asphalt there now, and then suddenly it's a freeway. Like every thought can quickly go down that path because that's the way you've wired your brain. And we can rewire our brain. Wow. But if we have a pathway that is wired towards finding the negative things, then that becomes the natural way we go. Yeah. That becomes the quick path that we choose. Not because we're being intentional to do that, but because it's the easiest. Right. You know, it's like water finding the path of least resistance. Right. Our thoughts are doing the same thing. Right. You know, and if you want to redirect the course of the water, you have to be intentional with creating a new path for the water to go down. Right. Otherwise, the water is just going to go down whatever way it finds most easiest. Right. And so in our thought life, I think we have to be intentional to craft the way that we want it to go. Right. We have to be intentional with establishing new patterns of thought. Whenever we find ourselves going down that freeway, we're like, oh, wait, no, let's find an off ramp, you know, and make a new route. Right. Because we don't want to be stuck doing that, but we can so easily be stuck doing that because it has become natural, because it's become easy. And if we want to do something different, we have to be intentional about it. Right. Usually. Right. You know, there are probably cases where people naturally start changing and they're not really thinking about it, but it just kind of happens. Then maybe that happens. But I think more often it's about something takes place that causes someone to shift on purpose, right? The way that they're going to be thinking.
Right.
And I think that it's on a neurological level, something that we have to be intentional about. Which is, it's not something we think about, but that's actually what's happening in our brain. It's like we are literally creating thought patterns that are physically being engraved into our brain, and we have to be intentional to change that and to create new pathways for our thoughts.
Right. So you almost have to like rewire yourself for beauty. To see beauty, and to, when you find yourself getting into the cycle of just like, well, wake up, doing the same thing, same job, same people, everything's blah, blah, blah. I'm just waiting for the weekend, waiting for the big stuff, waiting for the 10%, right? We have to rewire our brain. Yeah, I love that. I love that so much, because that water meets, like, it goes down the path of least resistance, sometimes, right? And so when you can redirect your brain, that we actually have the power, and what a gift that is, that we have the power to kind of create, banks for that river, for that thought to go in a different way and kind of set course for that. Right. Yeah. To actually, rewire ourselves to be almost predisposed towards beautiful things, towards, what Philippians says. It's whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is pure, whatever is admirable and praiseworthy, think about such things. Yeah. Right. So think about these things. So it's like if I can, what if there's something true or admirable or praiseworthy in everything? Because it's like, it's not just the things that we would deem praiseworthy or admirable or whatever, right? Like, what if in the little things there's something to find, and maybe that's actually like a treasure to find for us, is something that's admirable, even in that person that grinds us grinds our gears, you know what I mean? Or even in that, that boss or that job that we just like hate waking up really early at 4:30 a.m. to go to, or something like that. What if there's something praiseworthy in that, and then thinking about such things, reorienting and resetting the river towards those beautiful things, and then finding, wow, this is actually incredible. Yeah. This is actually incredible that I get to go to this job, that I get to have this person in front of me, that I get to wake up, that I get to go to the bathroom into an actual porcelain bowl, that I have water in my house, right? Like, it's like, it's like, what I mean? Like, it changes everything about how you operate, and then there's something that you can find, a variety that you can find, because we are really set on loving variety as well as human beings. And my counselor even says it's one of the core human needs is variety. You know what I mean? Things that are different. And so most of our lives, we're not going to be doing different things necessarily, but we can see them in a different way. Right. And oftentimes we're waiting for things to be different instead of changing our perspective and making that different, so that we can see the variety in our lives, right? Yeah. It doesn't mean that I need to have 10 different jobs in a year in order, and not be faithful to anyone. It means I need to go in with a different perspective and a different way of interacting with the job that I'm being faithful at for that, for that year or whatever. And then in those seemingly mundane things, there begins to grow, a life and a consistency and a beauty, being able to see that, because I'm starting to wire myself towards that disposition. Right. And then things start changing, right?
Yeah. And every moment is different. Every moment is new. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. There's no moment that has ever happened before. Yeah. And so why do we expect it to be the same? This, this moment has never happened.
Yes.
And so how much is in this moment for us to notice, because it's something about it is going to be different. Right. Because it's never happened before. Right. And moment by moment, we have opportunity to see new things and to see beautiful things and to see the variety. Right. Even if it is going back to the same Monday morning at work, it's still something new is happening because it's a new day. Because there's so many details that can be different and that can vary, and we have that right in front of us to appreciate. When you were thinking of Philippians 4, Philippians 4 came to mind, and Romans, whenever Paul was telling people that transform your minds by the washing of the word, the reading of the word, right? Transforms our minds. When we spend time with the word, when we spend time with Jesus, when we spend time with God, and when we read scripture, because those things, as we read scripture, it's going inside of us, right? And we keep reading, and what we put inside of us is going to be coming out of us eventually, right? The things that we put inside of us are affecting us, they're changing us.
Right.
And so if we allow those thoughts to start affecting our thoughts, and think about the good, what is good, what is pure, what is noble, what is praiseworthy, that those things do transform us. That it truly actually makes changes in our inside of who we are. Right. When we spend time thinking that way and spend time pondering the word and meditating on what scripture says, we're creating new synapses and strengthening synapses in our brain to start thinking in certain ways. And it's as much as it is a I don't know, it's not like an ethereal concept. It's like an actual physical, biological thing that's happening. It's like we're actually literally changing. Our brain is literally changing little by little, little tiny bits by little tiny bits. And I think that when we talk about wanting to shift our thinking, it's not always like we have a river going one down, then we just make a dam all of a sudden that water stops flowing there and has to flow somewhere else. I think more likely it's like the river's going and we have to create a new channel for the water starts flowing out that way, and then that channel will start getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then as we continue to kind of start building dams or in certain thought patterns by catching ourselves thinking a certain way and stopping ourselves in that moment, that we can strengthen that redirect.
Right.
And it takes time, it's not like a simple thing, but it's the slowly over and over. If it's like reacting to somebody, whenever we hear a certain thing or somebody says something to us and we have an automatic type of response, it's catching that and thinking, is this the response I want? Is this the way I want to be responding? Is this the way I want to be thinking? Is this the way I want to be right now? And then choosing to do something differently. Right. And it might not be naturally at first, but it'll start happening naturally the more that we put it into practice.
And I think, again, it comes down to like living life on autopilot. Right? Because there's still stuff that like I will have in my mind all day without dealing with it. I've been practicing, becoming self-aware, and letting go of certain thoughts and changing my mind and all these different things for a long time. But there are still thoughts that will sit inside my mind that I will let sit inside my mind for a long time. Right. And I think it's this lack of awareness of where we're actually sending those thoughts, and what they're actually doing and how we're allowing, because we, in a way, maybe we feel powerless against those things, or we don't know if we don't have the authority or permission to actually redirect those thoughts into something healthy or to think differently about those things, because sometimes we call ourselves like a realist or something, I'm just a realist, and this is the way it is. It's just crappy. It's like, well,
and then we confirm. What's the word I'm looking for? But we solidify that pathway in our mind by doing that.
Right. By creating a reality about something, basically, right? And then so there's still stuff that I can go an hour or two and just be like, wait a second, I've been thinking this way for the last 2 hours. You know what I mean? No, get out. Thank you. I'm going to reorient. I'm going to change. I'm going to shift that. Right. But it is hard to, when that's been an everyday thing to you, that you've been creating and solidifying those patterns of thought. That's hard to start, moving and directing. It takes a lot of digging. It takes a lot of time throughout the day. It takes a lot of mental capacity and mental energy, emotional energy, even, to say, no, I'm going this way. You know what I mean? And I might be hearing all this stuff and all these different thoughts about, oh my gosh, another day, but I'm going to reorient myself. I'm going to rewire myself towards beauty. I'm going to step into this, right? That's when you start seeing the change, rewiring yourself. And then things like your knees, or the bark on a tree, or waking up to your wife, or having a person in front of you, or doing a podcast on a Friday. It all becomes meaningful, it becomes like, wow, there's something about this moment. I was sitting with some of my interns, Kyle and Peyton, the other day, and we're reading this book called Hosting the Presence by Bill Johnson. And And we just got to talking about what would it look like if we just invited God into every moment. We just invited Jesus into every moment. And I was sitting there talking, I was like, well, let's not just talk about this. Let's become aware that God's here right now, And it felt like, to me, immediately there was this purpose that just got sucked into the room, because it gave like that moment meaning, like it was more than just a Tuesday at 2 p.m. meeting that we do every week. It became, I'm right here with Kyle and Peyton, enjoying the presence of God. There's amazing sons and daughters of God in this coffee shop, rival coffee shop,
Mm-hmm.
And this is awesome. And we get to read together and grow together and develop together. And this thing that I do every single week with them, meet up at a coffee shop and talk about different things, go through the Bible. There was more purpose in it by simply becoming aware and inviting God into the moment.
Yeah.
Right. And it no longer became, oh, this is just another work day, or this is just another thing that I do throughout the week, or another task, or another, box to check. It became, wow, this moment has like purpose, or this moment has meaning, or like, and then it even gave me a sense of like, how can I do this even more? Like, I could even, being aware of how beautiful this moment is, it makes me just want to step into beauty even more, like going and talking to somebody, or maybe I can pray for somebody, or, like maybe I could just love really well, like the person at the cash register, it gave me inspiration to actually make it more beautiful. Right.
Yeah,
it's like noticing the beauty of the moment gave me inspiration to step into it as well. And to even partner with the beauty that I was already seeing in the moment just by sitting there. And then imagine living your life like that, where in every moment taking just a glimpse and just inviting Jesus to just be like, wow, even in this moment, you're right here, God. Whoa, I have hands, I have hands, guys. Like, we're at a table, like there's just like, wow, this is very soft and cold. I saw a meme the other day about how good it feels when you turn your pillow over on the cold side and you sleep on it. It's like, it's like, feels so good. But something simple like that, right? There's becomes like this beauty that's brought into the moment of what we're doing right now. I mean, I would encourage you right now, if you're listening, to the podcast, to just take a good look at what's around you, your surroundings right now, and just like go, wow, just say, wow, just be thankful, just come into the moment and just be grateful for you sitting in your car, or you sitting on a couch, or you sitting and doing work. It's like, there's beauty in this moment. There's something here for me. And that's what I mean by the purpose, is that there's something to actually learn or gather or experience in this stupid moment. This moment that I think is stupid and mundane, and I do it every week. There's something to learn from it.
Mm-hmm.
There's something to gather. There's something to grow from. There's something to experience in every moment. There's a treasure, like there's something to open up. There's a gift to unwrap. There's something there, It's just our ability to be able to see it, to open up our eyes and say, wow, there's something here. There's something going on. And it's under the covers, it's under the surface. I might have to dig a little bit. It's going to be harder than just going on autopilot, or if you have a Tesla self-drive mode or whatever, it's going to be harder than that. I'm actually going to have to open up my eyes. I'm actually going to have to stop what I'm doing, and I'm actually going to have to focus in, and kind of ditch the rest of the stuff that I'm worried about or whatever. I'm actually going to have to focus in and see the beauty in what I'm doing right now. I'm going shopping for my family that I do every week. What beautiful thing is in this mundane thing of just getting things off the racks, or off the shelves, or buying cereal for my kids, or making tea for my husband or my wife, there's something to grow from.
There's something right now.
There's something to grow from. And then life doesn't become static. It becomes so dynamic. Yeah, because it's just not, you're not just doing the same thing every time.
Right.
There's always something new to grow from, always something new to learn from. It's like it changes a lot. It changes everything. Yeah.
Every moment is an opportunity.
Right.
You know, there's opportunity in every moment.
Right.
For something.
But
we have to be present in order to see it, to experience it, to accept it, and to participate in it. To participate in the moment. We can keep going on and on and on, you know, but if we were to go throughout our day without being mindful of the moment, we'd miss all the opportunities, because every opportunity is in the moment.
Right.
And we can just keep going and feel like it's the same thing over and over again. But as soon as we stop and be present just right now, what's the opportunity I have to participate in?
Right.
You know?
And oftentimes we're just letting life happen to us. You know? It's like you can participate with it, or you can just let it happen to you, you know?
Yeah.
And like be like a receiver of your experiences, you know? That is a way to live. It probably won't be the most fruitful.
That's no way to live.
It probably won't be the most fruitful way to live. And we've talked about it before, that we're like, maybe we haven't, but this blows my mind, that we are active agents, you know, that we have actual agency like that. What I do, if I move this mic, for all those that can't see,
and it swings back, and it swings away, and it swings back.
That simple thing shows me that I can change things. Like I can reorient things in this world.
Right.
And that includes my mind. That includes the way I think. That includes my perspective, that I can change the river. You know, like I can change the direction. Right. I can change the banks. I can move something. You know, and that's crazy. It's like, I just want to do that more. I'm like,
exercise your agency.
Exercise your agency this week and just move some stuff. That's cool. Yeah. You know, like there's so much to be mind blown about. There honestly is. There's so much to be mind blown about this gift that is life right in front of us, you know? And if we just let it happen to us, you know, we'll probably live just in the mundane and think that everything's just like, oh, whatever. But if we realize we're active agents to actually change things and do good to things and reorient things and all this different kind of stuff, we'll actually live life differently, because we'll live life with responsibility then, because we realize we have power. We realize we have agency. So we'll take responsibility over our thoughts and our day and our actions, and not just having life happen to us, but actually being causes in life.
We are an active force.
Right.
We're not just living out of fact of everything else, but we are the cause of many things.
Many things, yeah.
And we get to cause good things. We get to cause amazing things.
Yeah. It's either good or amazing. That's all I'm going after. Hopefully not as many bad things.
Feels bad. I didn't cause that.
Oh my gosh. And I will not take responsibility for that.
No, but it truly is. It's an empowering thing when we realize that we have the ability to change something.
Right.
Because then we can choose to be active participants in the beauty of the moment.
Right.
And appreciate the moment in the beauty in the mundane. Yeah. So hope you are all feeling a little more empowered to see something beautiful today, in this moment, this week, in your family and your friends, at work, in relationships, just in life. Let's take advantage of seeing the beauty in those little things that we might be overlooking.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all.
That's all.
That's all. Find the beauty in the mundane, folks. That's all, folks.
That's all, folks.
All right. Your brain on goggies, all of our little baby boggies, our little potty casters. You guys are beautiful. Thanks for traveling with us on this journey through space and time and the mind. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, on Spotify, on iTunes, TikTok, all of the social media platforms. Your brain on God. Thanks for joining us on episode 20. We will see next week. We will see next week. Hopefully, we will make it to next week. Anyway, we'll see you guys next week, or we won't see. I don't know, man. All right, peace.
Peace out.
Later, guys.